Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of this replay. I'm deciding not to fast forward it, but still it should be very fun as this game continues to watch. You can see the amount of frames per second I am getting starting to drop a little bit because of the sheer number of banelings. A lot of banelings just sitting here, and they will be able to move out in just a moment. Banshees now making their way into my base. I have no anti-air and no missile turrets in my base, so this orbital command will get shot down very quickly unless I lift it off in time. I don't remember if I do. There we go. And now the Banshee's able to finish off the rest of the base here. We do have a couple queens here and some spore crawlers able to offer some protection against those Banshees, as those Banshees now try to finish off the rest of my bases here. And now Luxury saying that he's finally able to move out, sitting on 200 banelings and 191 food. So with these banelings, he will push out in just a moment, and you can see how much damage these banelings do. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the center of this mass here and move out. So you can see one queen trying to push through that swarm of banelings here. A lot of banelings just sitting there, looking very pretty, and will be able to destroy a lot of these buildings and maybe even some of these stores. So now queens now trying to make their way, perhaps trying to deal some damage towards these siege tanks. We still see a lot of banelings here, more and more banelings. 241 banelings by Luxury. Luxury also has a level 1 weapons upgrade, so these banelings deal 39 damage to these units here. And now we also see Gifted pushing out with mass sentries. So with these mass sentries, able to buy time and continue to just macro up more and more. However, Thor is just ripped through mass sentries. If you did not already know that, those Thors do not deal extra damage versus armored units, so just able to two-shot any of these units here, especially if one-shot them if they are very low on hit points. And now down they go. We now see an orbital command over here, so I am continuing to just try to supply as many minerals as possible for my team. More marines sitting over here. Luxury now sees an additional gas as well, so I'm going to be trying to transfer a gas in just a moment. So Gifted now sitting on 6 sentries over here, and now finally, and the moment you've all been waiting for, I think, the sheer number of banelings sitting here. How many banelings is that? Over 6 control groups of banelings now will be able to move out in just a moment, and my frames per second, I believe, is down to 12. So no, the video is not lagging. This is just what 261 banelings or 291 banelings look like when they move. So now in come these banelings, siege tanks on the high ground, able to start blasting away. Marines coming in. However, those banelings just able to roll over them and now coming into this base. And now this is not going to be a good sight at all, as these banelings are just trying to finish off the rest of these buildings here. Down goes some factories, some barracks, and just continuing to push out here. So down goes a couple of those buildings. You see the command center quickly being lifted off, and now down goes an armory, and still there are more buildings as these banelings are able to continue to do a lot of damage here. I'm trying to use the rest of my Hellions in order to do a little bit of a push here, and now these banelings deciding that there's already done enough damage here is going to try to take down another set of groups, another group of buildings here, and now in come these banelings simply just melting away all of these barracks here, all of the supply depots, and continuing to just have their fun here, and then taking down some more of these production buildings. Now trying to take down some key buildings here, taking down the starport. Down goes another starport here and another starport there, and still just doing a great job trying to make sure that all of these buildings are taken down. And K-Chalk finally able to survive the rest of that attack. We now see mass queens moving out, so these mass queens need to get back onto that creep, and as these creep tumors will be starting to push up over here, we can see these queens now trying to fight back against these Thors. However, Thors very strong against queens once again, as you already know. And now Luxury needs to get back up to critical mass of banelings in order to push out. Back over here, we now see Sentry using that additional minerals that he's always sitting on top of in order to warp in photon cannons. So going to use photon cannons to try to push out with this army, and sentries as well. So you see another pylon being placed here. I'm just continuing to dump more minerals and more gas to my partners as well, trying to play proper defense, making sure that there's enough planetary fortress to slow down any of the play here. Hellions now trying to take down the Thors from that high ground. Hellions also have that level 1 weapon upgrade. However, these Thors just continue to push. I did lose my planetary fortress here, as these Hellions with that blue flame trying to burn down and melt away these Thors. Those Thors, however, very strong 2 Hellion attack. Now we do see some pylons here, and now more phoenixes being hallucinated by Gifted. So Gifted using hallucinations in order to gain sight throughout the map and perhaps draw some aggro. Kachok sitting here now continuing to just try to mine out of this location. He's pretty much out of the game, only has 1 production building left. Meanwhile, Cavino sitting on a fairly decent sized army here, 2,400. Luxury still the main player in this game with 35-25, and now in comes another swarm of banelings, and these banelings are simply just going to be able to roll through everything, take down this starport, and once that starport goes down, all the production buildings for Kachuk has pretty much been neutralized. Mass sentries now continuing to try to fight. However, these stores are very strong against sentries, also because force fields, they are immune to force fields. Massive units are able to simply walk through those force fields. And now banelings, however, are going to come in from that backside, and now these stores have to worry as these banelings now going to simply roll into position, and banelings coming in, taking down so many of these stores, and Cavino now with nothing left. Banelings now going to roll up the ramp here, try to take down the key buildings here, and now if he's able to take down all of these pylons, taking down that photon cannon, taking down that pylon, and just continuing to roll straight through here, wants to make sure that all these buildings will be unpowered. So another pylon taken down, there goes another, and now Vega in serious trouble as he has a lot of production buildings but no pylon power in order to protect it. Mass sentries now moving in. These sentries are almost fully upgraded, 3-3 against the void rays, which are not upgraded at all. So sentries are now dealing 9 damage per attack, while those void rays are only dealing 5 damage per attack. We also see these carriers trying to attack as well. Carriers now deal, what I believe, 8. These are unupgraded carriers, so they deal 5 times 2 damage, but because of the armor and the shields on these units, the stalker or the sentries are only taking 1 damage or 2 damage per round of attack against those interceptors. Sentries now coming in once again. Mass Hellions just trying to roll through this whole entire position, trying to utilize the splash damage in order to deal as much damage as possible. However, the Hellions are going to simply just come into here and take down the rest of these probes. So the probes are now taken down. We do see Mass Queens here. Another group of Zerglings here. Zerglings quickly getting taken down as well. However, Mass Hellions over here, and now we are in a very, very dominant situation. Mass Hellions on the ground, banelings, queens, and sentries just able to deal so much damage. You're trying to use these Hellions, trying to get as much damage in as possible. Once again, you see Phoenix is moving out in the air in order to gain some sight, perhaps try to figure out what exactly they can do. Cavino now just continuing to mine away and pine away once again. Planetary Fortresses here did their job, make sure that no units try to walk up this ramp. A siege tank with a spotter perhaps would have helped. However, they did not want to try to take the center ground location. You can see the amount of creep that Ichuchi has in fact spawned so far. So yeah, you can take a look at that. And once again, we see one Marine trying to push through. However, a swarm of Queens able to deal damage once again. Those Talons dealing 6 times 2 damage. Meanwhile, the Acid Spines dealing 11 times 2 or 11 damage per attack. So very, very fast indeed. We do see some banelings sitting here. Mass Marines and Marauders once again pushing out. However, we solved it the first time, we're going to solve it again the second time, and now mass banelings once again being macroed up 5 times 24, so more than 100 banelings so far as these Marines and Marauders trying to push out. We will see what happens over here as these banelings now quickly come across this expansion and quickly take it down. So Ichuchi now does not have, or Ichuchi able to take down this I believe, command center, and now place down a hatchery of his own. Kachuk deciding to finally leave the game, and now Mass Hellions moving out over here. These Hellions will be able to make short work of these probes. Down they go. Now going to make their way over towards these SCVs. SCVs will get taken down very quickly as well, as it only takes 2 rounds of attack from these particular Hellions in order to kill an SCV. Banelings once again pushing through here. Mass Doors trying to offer some protection. However, the splash damage was too much, and now all of these Banelings able to just deal so much damage once again. Gonna go perhaps take down some of the other buildings. However, Luxury and everyone did leave the game, so mass banelings here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 fun game here on actually I don't even know the name of this map, but yeah, this 1v1 fun game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'm still trying to figure out and make my decision and make a decision about the future of StarCraft 2 and who I want to partner with as I move forward. I wish I could give more details, but I really can't. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay.